Welcome back, subscribers, gals, and guys, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with Dr. Charles Livingston again, like part two, maybe part two, if not part three. I am a huge fan of the cold brew, the biotics brew, bifidobacteria, as you can see by my background. Dr. Hazen, you've got to come on and meet Dr. Livingston. But Chris and myself, we're actually honored to be healthcare ambassadors. Um, for this company, and we were introduced to it by Dr. Joe Elite, who's one of our sub-investigators, one of our clinicians here at the UMA Clinical Trials. And I'm a fan, like since the first sip, Dr. Livingston, and I've only done the biotics brew. I haven't done anything else. Um, oh, I take that back. The when you guys sent us that welcome packet,
Mhm.
I ground those beans but I made cold brew out of it.
I I'm the same way. I love cold brew so much, and so
Yep.
I like probably 80% of the coffee I drink is cold brew, maybe even 90%.
Yeah, me too. I'm like at 95. I mean, occasionally I'll have like a hot cup of coffee, but um Chris, what about you, man? Are you excited for part 2? Are you pumped? You look pumped.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, so you have anything to say to the viewers who have been patiently waiting, and Dr. Livingston himself, the founder and CEO of this company, like they've been waiting for your video, and it's like August, almost September now. What's happening?
I have nothing to say.
Just a little procrastination, that's all.
Is it procrastination or just
Um,
is it
well,
gonna be like a spiritual journey for you to, like, get
could
to
be.
tasting
It
it?
very well could be. I mean, I'm new to coffee, so just got a grinder not too long ago, and it, so I'm only really drinking hot coffee unless it's Starbucks cold brew at this time, which I occasionally have. When I first get up in the morning, I just want a cup of coffee, get some caffeine going. Um, So it's not the best time to record myself grinding some coffee and
That's fair, that's
Well,
fair.
speaking of which, Dr. Livingston, so what is your routine? Like, there's a lot of schools of thought, and you're a PhD, so like we definitely take your opinion seriously. There's schools of thought you should delay your morning coffee as long as you can, something to do with your morning cortisol. What do you do? Like, what's your routine?
just
Yeah,
like,
so I wait until about 10 o'clock is my kinda set mark.
Oh,
So, typically, I wake up, I'll drink, like, depending on if I'm fasting or not, I'll do, like, BCAAs, or I'll do, kombucha. So gut's like super important to me because that kind of is one of the big rulers of the body, right? So protect your gut health and take care of your gut health. Everything else flourishes. So like I love like a good live kombucha, um, and then I'll do that and then get ready and then start my coffee probably around 10.
so you delay like what, 3 hours? Chris was gonna say something.
yeah, sorry, Dr. Livingston. I didn't mean to interrupt. I was taking that question on as though it was just Dan and I for some reason. Um, but I just saw a cardiologist not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and she said the exact same thing, but nothing to do with the gut or the heart. She said, "Yeah, you don't want to drink any caffeine products at least for the first 2 hours when you first wake up." Um, due
Yeah,
to potentially causing heart issues. So, yeah,
I mean, it
that's
would
right.
make sense simply because you're definitely going to be upping your cortisol as well as
Mhm.
actually your epinephrine and stuff. So like that surge in the morning, if you're not ready for it, could be if you already have heart issues, could be an issue.
Yeah,
Uh, for me, it's like one, it's just the cortisol thing and also liver health. So apparently there's and I haven't looked too deep into this, so don't ask me where the study is or anything because I'm not gonna be able to tell you. I did when I was reading. There was a couple things, and I think it's actually in our. We have a coffee and liver health report. I think it's actually in there. Just talking about like wait till 10 o'clock to have coffee because that way it's like the best for your liver if you wait. as well. So it's probably, you wake up in the morning, your body's trying to get going, so you don't want to like shock the system with something as powerful as caffeine, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
that's something I've got to start doing. I delay by like an hour at the most, but so I will have water before coffee, and I'll
Yeah,
usually have 30 ounces or 50 if I can. Like if it's really hot here in Arizona, you got to have that water first. Have
yeah.
you? I also do the magnesium drops from you guys in the coffee.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
that boy.
can you tell us about that? Like what's the benefits of this and like what?
So coffee is a diuretic by nature, right? So whenever you have a diuretic, pee a lot, when you lose fluid, you lose minerals with that, right? So my whole thing is like replenish those minerals and those electrolytes, because there's a ton of function in your body, especially magnesium. I just had my blood work done, and my magnesium is off the charts. I'm like totally good on magnesium now,
Is
and
it because of the
had it,
drop?
huh? Yeah, because I do the drops every day. I'll do it. I actually will do it in my because I do jujitsu as well. So when I do jujitsu, I'll put it in my water, because I
Mm.
want like potent electrolytes there. Because
Drop?
otherwise I get
Do
muscle
you do
cramp.
the full 5 drops?
So I will do, yeah, I'll do between 4 to 6 drops. So in my coffee, um, usually 6 drops. In this one, probably 5, something like that. And that's about and that one. It's actually I could do more. I just don't. Um, but yeah, because I don't want my water to be too salty. Because it's like these are like really natural. They're they're evaporated salt from the Great Salt Lake. Um,
Mm.
so it's really pure. It is very salty. So like I had somebody like they want to shortcut it and not put it in their drink, just put it on their tongue, and they're like, it was the worst thing ever. I'm like, probably. I mean, it's really salty.
So if you do Dr. Livingston, if you do the magnesium drops, because again, I'm out here in the desert, July and August, no joke. Like I do electrolytes in my water.
Yep.
Uh, do I still need to do that if I'm doing the magnesium drops in the coffee? And if I, let's say, just add more to the water, like, am I doing too much at that point as far as electrolytes are concerned? Like, what do you think?
I don't know if you could ever. I mean, your body uses those things so much, and if I, it depends on how much you're sweating, how much you're working out, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so like if you're doing sauna or anything like that, you're just sweating, right? So it's good to replenish those. So if you feel good, I don't think there's a problem with it. Like
What
you
about
could double up on these. So I'll use these like a couple times a day, maybe even 3, because I'll do a coffee like at 10, then I'll do one usually around 3 ish, just like for my afternoon pick me up. That
okay?
way, like because it doesn't like I'm in that category where it doesn't affect my sleep. I'm also not drinking at like 6 p.m. If I drank at 6 p.m., yes, it would affect my sleep. I've done that before and it does. But like at 3 p.m., I've got enough time because I usually don't go to bed till like 12:31. I'm always a night owl, so I'm usually good by then.
And we should have probably prefaced this with this is not medical advice. Dr. Livingston is a doctor, but he's not your doctor, and he's not a clinician. He's a PhD scientist. So do your own research, find your own doctors, people.
So
Chris,
Very true.
really dumb question. So you said magnesium is very salty tasting, but it has no salt content, right?
No, no, this is this is high magnesium content. It's got sodium, magnesium,
Oh, okay.
potassium, plus like 59 trace minerals or 79 trace minerals, something like that as well.
All right.
So it's literally evaporated salt, right? So it will be salty. So I
So
mean, if you guys have one, you should definitely try putting it on your tongue. Test it.
let's see, Dan, do it.
Chris, you got the welcome box, man. Like
It's
it's in
downstairs though. It takes a moment to get.
man, since April you haven't been downstairs. I mean, come on.
You guys get your T-shirts?
We got it. Yes, I got it. I was gonna say thank you so much for the
Yeah,
shirts. Like
awesome.
I wear it a lot. It's actually really good material. Uh, it's like one
Maggie.
of my favorite shirts I have. And
Yeah,
you guys,
we're
Dr. Joe, who couldn't join us, um, he sent me his coffee stack this morning, actually. So
ooh, let's hear.
he puts maca, vitamin D3,
Yep.
PQQ, which I don't even know what that is.
Oh yeah. I know what it is. I think it's a bioflavonoid of some type.
Uh,
Probably I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, PQQ.
we'll look it up. Coenzyme Q10, NMN, DIM, L-tyrosine, L-citrulline, collagen, medium chain triglycerides, and coconut sugar. And of course, only with the Biotics brew or some other Lifeboost coffee. That's all he drinks too. He's very religious when it comes to
That's awesome. Yeah, wow. He's got a very, very potent stack there.
that.
So currently my stack is I'll do the Everload drops. I've got I do a D3 MK7, which we're actually coming out with our own D3 MK7 combo. Um, because it's like you can put so little in there. My whole thing is like I don't really want to change the flavor of the coffee. So the things we bring out are meant to enhance it and not take away from it.
Right.
So then I do those two. I do either the Mito creamer that we have or a collagen, a multi collagen, and a C8 MCT oil powder,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
got sweetness to it. The
Yeah.
C8,
Okay. Yeah, I've been
which
CoQ10, NMN, and occasionally a maca powder, but that I found the maca powder has like too much bitterness. Um, even with the magnesium drops, doesn't take it away.
yeah, it's when you get to the root things, because we did our Mito creamer, and we have a rhodiola in there, but it's a trademarked version of it that is like 6 times more potent in salicylic than the normal rhodiola that you get at the store or on Amazon. So it's super potent, and you can taste it a little bit in the Mito creamer. So on the second iteration of Mito creamer, we've actually been able to take that out. So that way, because my whole thing is like, I don't want to have that because it takes away from the joy of the coffee, right? The health benefits in it are insanely immense. Because between that and the Mito Prime in it, which is Mito Prime is a trademarked version of L-ergothioneine,
Oh,
which is the only antioxidant that penetrates the mitochondria.
Hmm.
I didn't know
So I didn't either. I read about it. I'm like, oh, it's great.
Well, join the club, Dan. I don't know half the stuff you guys are talking about at the moment.
that. Well, mitochondrial biosynthesis is actually something recently very interesting to me. Um, I read, and I mean this is publicly known, but I just learned about it that the AMPK pathway, when it's stimulated by fasting or intense workouts like heavy lifting, actually contributes to mitochondrial synthesis. So that's the only way your body can make new ones. So if you're not
Yep.
exercising or you're eating too often, you're basically stuck with your old mitochondria, and there's no way to generate new ones,
Yeah.
at least as efficiently as fasting, which is I've started picking it up again, and heavy.
Good. Yes, and so that's we used to talk about that in school. I used to lift super heavy and stuff, and it was the more the heavier you can lift and the amount of resistance you can get builds more muscle, which in turn builds more mitochondria, and then which builds more fat burning potential in your body, which is why bodybuilders can just like burn fat like crazy because they have so much dense muscle, right? And fasting, yeah, fasting is another the opposite way, right? Which ironically still builds mitochondria.
And I've been
Um,
doing both together. You're not supposed to. I've been lifting like not too heavy. I'm not going max, but I'm doing like 5 sets of 10 and on the fifth set I can't really go past six. But um, like
good.
bench press. But I've been fasting while I'm doing that, which is like
Yeah.
not supposed to. You're like breaking the rules.
Well,
So
it's
what actually
use
happens?
muscle, right? You do that.
What's
You
that?
what?
When you have no fuel, and you're working out, it actually decreases muscle.
Your body can pull. I mean, your glycogen stores in your muscle. You store about 500 grams of carbs in your body. So that takes a little bit to get depleted. But like for me, like I've lifted fasted for a long time, and so your body will even adapt to that. Do I think it's better than lifting on carb or on like food? Debatable.
Yeah.
Uh, I've never really done it before. I will say that I did jujitsu this morning, and I've been fasting for about 36 hours. I literally just broke my fast right before I jumped on here. But typically every Monday, I'll stop eating Sunday around 11 or midnight, and I'll fast all through Monday, and I'll start eating on Tuesday at 2. Well, I
Oh,
did jujitsu this morning, and I actually tried to roll. Your gas tank is very, very short. And I was
yeah. I did.
so
You
it
notice?
does make a difference there when you're really pushing cardio hard, and I'm sure that's yeah. I think your body can adapt to a point on some of that stuff, but yeah, food is
Yeah.
essential.
I'm only doing the fast and lifting PRN because I've got some weight to lose uh, due to maybe bad dieting the last 2, 3 months. So normally, when I started lifting, I wasn't fasting and I was able to do more reps. So it's probably has something to do with it. Bifidobacteria. You want to just talk more about this because to me, that's what intrigued me to the coffee. Like, hey, might as well drink something that's good for me and that I like. That's why I choose the Biotics brew.
Mhm.
It's got like 6 different strains of the Bifido in there. Um, you guys intentionally went out and did this. Like, what was there research that you guys did, or just papers you nerded out on to have you come up with that blend?
Yeah, so friends of mine are functional medicine doctors. One of them is an MD, DC, PhD. He's a triple doctor, right? Um, and then so him and his business partner, who's a functional med guy, chiropractor, they created this. It was basically like 12 to 15 different strains. They have a couple different versions, 12 to 15 different strains of bacteria, which you saw there's like 6 different bifido bacteria in there. And then they've also had a strain of bacteria in there that actively seeks through clinical testing, actively seeks out like mycotoxins and toxins in the cell and gets rid of them. So that was another thing. So I was taking uh, some of the probiotics and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, you know what? This is something that we can add to the coffee. And I think that it would be good because I was trying to figure out like, 'cause gut health is super important. When it's what I always tell people. Two of the core things you should be taking every day is omega 3s and a good probiotic. So like everybody, like clockwork, should be taking that every day, in my opinion. Um, and just because of all the benefits for your gut and your cell health and everything. Um, so when they were showing me this and telling me about this, and it's set in a proprietary acid that allows it to flourish. So you don't need 2 billion CFUs or a billion CFUs because these have like a 97% survival rate through the gut and like implanting into the lining and all that. So yeah, I knew it was potent, but I also knew it wasn't heat resistant, so it could only be cold brewed. And I think I think there's like one bacteria, maybe Bacillus subtilis. Is that the one that can withstand
The
heat?
one that lives in the volcanoes and uh, feeds off of like sulfur and stuff.
Yeah, I think they're like the probiotic coffees on the market now. They have that's the only one they have in it, which I'm like, eh.
Yeah, that's questionable to me. Like, it's interesting that this like bifidobacteria revolution, largely led by our friend Dr. Hazen, um, started little bit pre-COVID when she was doing the fecal transplants. She started studying this and then post-COVID is really when it's like it took center stage because what they found was when you get COVID, like people with lower levels of bifidobacteria had worse symptoms of
Okay.
COVID than those who did not. And then we don't want to get canceled and talk about the vaccine. That had some stuff to do with it as well. And it's still researching it, by the way. And then there's interestingly enough, some bifido disappears during certain types of cancer. So it has something to do with immunity as well. So
Dude,
all I know
yeah.
is it's good for you to have as much as you can of bifido.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I believe some of the kombuchas that's one of the ingredients is a bifido in there. So I try to get it because your body's always going to need it.
Yeah, at least
So
what
I'm
we so
always,
far. And some of the other probiotic stuff, like you can kind of, like you said, if you boil bifidobacteria, put it in hot water, you kill it. So does no good. It's just trendy to have that on your label. If you're another coffee.
yeah. And that was one of the big things is like I don't want to fairy dust or I don't want to I'm like get a clinical dose amount that can get you the effective result that they're studying, right?
Right.
So in all of our supplements, like the major ingredients, we go for a clinical dose. So that way we can make sure that you're able to get the benefits that we're saying instead of like doing the whole fairy dust thing and just being able to talk about the ingredient, right?
Yeah.
I want the result, not just the ingredient. So that's what I personally want, and I'm like, I'm only going to sell things that you know I would personally buy myself.
Yeah. How's the business going? Like, you know, one of the I always try to support small business, especially those that I love, because I don't want it to go away. So you guys are like in that. I mean, you're a part of my life now. Lifeboost is daily part of my life. It would really suck if the business was not around. Like, how is that? It's important for me and for viewers to understand, like, what the health of the company is. Are you guys growing or whatever you
Yeah,
can?
yeah, absolutely. No, we're still growing. Still having a ton of fun creating new products. Looking to where what is our future like? Are we going to push into retail? That's an opportunity too, but it's like a phase two opportunity. There's so much growth we can do online, and that's kind of my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse isn't retail, so we would have to hire a team of people to do that actually. Um, so there's that going international. Like there's a ton of movement we can do to get bigger, and we've even talked about doing some brick and mortar stores. I think that'd be really fun and something that I think our customer base would really enjoy.
We kind
Um,
of flirted with that idea last interview. I remember.
yeah,
W- Obviously, it would be select markets. Where would it be? Like your main? Where's your main market? Like your main hub of fans, I guess.
probably the coasts. I feel like that's typically when you look at like trends because we're healthy coffee, right? It's going to start West Coast to East Coast, then the rest of the U.S. That's typically how you see the patterns of these things happening, um, or starting on one of the coasts and working its way over. So yeah, that's
Oh,
typically
commercial space in San Francisco going for cheap. If
I
you
want to be there right now. They got stuff to do. They got but and then the other thing is just I'm very much about a ritual and a routine for people every day. Like I have my morning ritual, you have your morning ritual. I'm sure Chris has his morning ritual, what we do every single morning. So then it's like, that's where kind of coffee starts. So what's the afternoon look like? Some people want to do coffee, other people don't. So we're like trying to find things to be able to add to people's like afternoon. We're getting into teas and functional teas. That's kind of one of our next movements into using the same criteria that we use for the coffee into the tea space. We get a lot of people asking about that, so we're like, all right, let's go ahead and bring some of those out, and then and also a nightly routine. So we're currently working on sleepy tea, like a relaxed sleepy tea for people, and it's potent, works. we,
Interesting.
everybody that like tried it so far, they're like, yeah, I can really
Is it
see.
melatonin based or
No, I didn't want to do that because really, I mean, melatonin works, but it is a hormone, and like, I don't. It's one of those, balancing things that, like, I don't know if I want to, because too much of it can be bad, and then you create, reliance and all these things that, like, I don't want to go down that road. Me personally, and like that, like I said, I try to lead with what I would do personally for myself with my customers, right? So that's
yeah?
something really.
Um, um, there's
So
been literature on melatonin on testosterone down regulation that kind of scares me. What were you gonna say, Chris?
I was just gonna, since we're on the marketing topic, and I know we kind of ventured away, but um, can I offer a couple of, well, maybe one bit of advice? So after we did our last video,
Uh huh.
so this, I doubt you have any control over this, or probably very little. But if you can do something about this, Dan and I were both bombarded with Lifeboost commercials. I remember talking to him about this after we did our video. Literally every YouTube video that would play was preceded by a Lifeboost video and followed by a Lifeboost video.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
And we don't need to be marketed to, so just a waste of marketing dollars.
Yeah. No. No. Yeah.
I don't
It's
know
so
if you can do
evolved.
anything about that, but dollars probably spent better elsewhere.
Yeah, no, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're on what they call omni-channel. So we're on, like, Facebook and YouTube and
Yeah.
Google and Snapchat, like all these channels. So each one requires somebody that has to be forensic and, like, dive deep. So we're slowly, trying to dial in each one. So that's one of the things on YouTube that, obviously
Yeah,
needs checked.
they're probably at the stage where they're retargeting people that visit the website,
Yeah.
and it's actually cheaper to just leave it on for the customers that have already purchased, at the cost of not losing the others. So I think I understand why it's being done. It's probably easier to just have
Fair
it
enough.
done.
The other thought was, how long until we're going to see you in? Of course, we'll never see you in Starbucks, right? They have their own brands, but there's a lot of independent coffee houses. How long until we see you there?
It's a great question. And that is, so we did hire somebody for wholesale, and then Maggie's taking over our ambassadors of health. So we've got two paths. And for wholesale, it's on the docket. It's just figuring out, because when you approach coffee houses, is like, they've already got, most of them have already got their thing they're so used
The
to, right?
brands, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, because ours is a premium brand, what's going to be the draw to get them? So I'm working through that. I think it's a different type of a marketing play to be able to approach them, because they're these smaller mom and pop shops. It's like they're trying to get
Well,
as margin as possible.
so here would be the advice. If you are trying to target these places, stay away from California. They're all Starbucks. There is really no small independent places. I mean, there's a few, but relatively few and far between. I used to live in the Seattle area, and there was more independent coffee shops than there were Starbucks by far. So I'd hire somebody up there and maybe have them make the rounds on promoting your product.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's yeah, that's a good idea. So that's yeah, I
There's
like
a
the small
few there's a few
coffee.
independent in Orange County, like roasters. Bodie Leaf is one, but yeah, I mean, usually they've trying to get their own proprietary blend sold, and so just like Charles, Dr. Livingston. I mean, the best route might be to just open up in those select markets your own your own and like get the word of mouth that way. Because once it takes off in a place like Seattle, San Fran, LA, Orange County, Newport Beach, it will take off everywhere else.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, that's good.
But the Biff this is unique because when Dr. Joe brings something to you, it comes with you from, like, health first, like, taste is an afterthought. So I was expecting when he gave me, like, the first sip, I was like, "Ah, it's gonna taste funny," it's got bifidobacteria in it, it can't be taste good. Usually things that taste good are not good for you. But no, I was blown away, like, it was, like, so pure, nothing was put in it, no magnesium drops, it was just a straight cold brew,
Yeah.
and I was blown away. Now I'm used to it. My issue now is I'm drinking it, like, too concentrated, so I had to make, like, a conscious decision to fill up my bottle first with, like, water so that I can't fill it up more. Because at one point, I was drinking straight concentrate. That's the problem when you're brewing it yourself, and then I realized, "Hey, this is, like, a little too strong." So I've, like, toned it down, but I liked the way that it tasted as straight concentrate too.
Yeah, yeah. I was catching myself doing that too, honestly. So I was like, "Oh man, this is potent."
One of the dangers of doing it yourself is, like, you don't have someone curating, like, your concentrations for you, you just gotta figure out what works for you.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think what do they most websites and stuff say for cold brewing? Is it a 1-to-1 ratio? One
1 to
coffee.
1 or 2 to 1 if you're, like, weaker, but 1 to 1's, like, for me is good. I was doing 0 to 1, just all all life works.
I'm
Yeah,
like 1 to 2. So
yeah.
for every 2 ounces of concentrate, I use 1 ounce of coffee. That's like perfect for me.
Wait, water you mean, or just
Or yeah, 1 ounce of water to 2 ounces of cold brew concentrate.
okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm probably somewhere between 1 and 2 right now, but
Yeah,
I can handle didn't affect my sleep or anything. I was just
yeah.
maybe a little more wired those days, but,
You get twice as much done those days.
twice as my yeah, a lot of memes getting produced those days. Chris, you got a lot of rabbit hole to dig down, man. You're still on probably on Folgers. The last video you were drinking Folgers, you said as soon as you get your box, you would switch, and that was now it's the next video. Months later, you got your box months ago.
Had to get a grinder, man.
Okay, okay. I just keep giving
Baby,
it
we're baby stepping them up there.
That's
baby.
right. But
So
I will say, and again, not to I don't know the word I'm looking for, but not to say anything poor or bad about Lifeboost. I have purchased some cold brew Starbucks that actually tastes much better than Folgers, so I'll give it that. I don't know if it's
Yeah, Starbucks' cold brew is not bad. Yeah. So if I have
Lifeboost is better. Getting there.
say what?
I said I'm sure Lifeboost is much better.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
I do not go to Starbucks. Look, I turned off my background. Katie's here. And by the way, we do the reaction. Like we might pull a curveball. We might have Katie tell us a song to react to, like to get the Trojan horse going. So start thinking of a song that we should react to close this out. A song to react. Yeah, like any song that you want us three to react to. No, any category. That's the thing.
So tell us your favorite song right now.
Yeah.
Oh God, I listen to like everything. I don't have a favorite song right now.
Well, she's drinking a s'mores something from Starbucks too.
It's
Espresso
over ice.
over ice. So think it through, okay? Think like something that ideally the three of us. Well, I'm in my early 40s. Dr. Livingston probably the same. Maybe like Chris. Who knows how old Chris is? We have
83.
Something you haven't heard.
something our demo hasn't heard. Millennials and what are you, Chris? The X?
Mhm.
Gen X. Gen X. He's your parents' generation. I'm almost your parents' generation. And then Dr. Livingston, the youngest one, probably of all.
No, I'm 44. I'm older than
Oh,
you.
you're 44. Okay, I'm the youngest. You just look younger because you roll around, do jujitsu and all this
Yeah, probiotics on the daily.
stuff. So Katie's gonna think of a song. She's drinking her Starbucks. It's terrible. We're gonna bring. I don't even go anymore. Only we work in doctor offices, so every now and then we get free Starbucks. So I'll just do nitro cold brew when that happens. But I try to avoid that stuff, man. Like once you go Life Boost, guys watching, like it's like It's like getting a luxury car and then going back to, like, a Corolla. Like, it's just you're better off just not trying the luxury car and just sticking to your Corolla if that's what you're gonna do. But if you want to experience the finer, there's no coming back. There's no coming back.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
In that
it's
analogy,
pretty hard to make it as best.
in that analogy, I'm seriously curious, but in that analogy, the Corolla being Starbucks, would the exhaust also be coming through the air vents? In other words, is Starbucks bad
Are you
for you?
trying to kill yourself?
Yeah, is Starbucks bad for you because they put all
Ah,
that crap in it, right?
now you're getting into moldy toxins and the Dr. Livingston
Well, not
specialty.
just that, but even like uh, the employee behind you, Dan,
Katie?
um, Katie, she's drinking an espresso, which I'm sure has plenty of sugar in it and syrups and
Oh, yeah,
And
that's like cereal in a cup.
cereal and hey, yeah,
It's straight.
maybe worse.
she's young and spry. Body
Okay,
can
it's
more
semi-healthy.
damage.
It's semi-healthy, but what do you think about, like, Starbucks? Like, not to call out Starbucks, but, like, the other like, what's the dangers of, like, drinking from these big retail? Like, there's molds, there's toxins at best. What else?
Yeah. So I mean, here's my whole take on it. Like for me, like I love coffee. I'm super passionate about it. I drink it every single day. So anything that I do every single day, I want to make sure I can, do the cleanest, the healthiest version that I can possibly find. And with coffee, I really, when I started drinking, I didn't even start drinking coffee till my mid 30s, if you believe that. Um,
Oh,
so I mean, that's when Bulletproof kind of started their craze. So I was
that's crazy.
yeah, so I was doing that because like after reading like the health benefits of coffee. Because remember they used to say coffee was bad for you, right? Then all of a sudden there's a ton of health benefits after they did more research on it. Um, but so it's one of those things where health is like a spectrum, right? It can be healthy because like I think all coffee has health benefits, right? But on
Yeah,
the flip side is that it's also the third most drank beverage in the world, which means it's a cash crop, which means it's heavily sprayed with pesticides. It's also created outside the US, so the restrictions on what those pesticides are much more lax. And this is why like Europe is much stricter on their coffee standards than the US. And a lot of times coffee goes to Europe, it gets rejected and will come to the US. So for me personally, I'm like, I know that toxins can bioaccumulate in your body. I don't want that to happen if it's something I'm drinking every single day because all that's happening is I'm just slowly bioaccumulate these toxins and all of a sudden, it's one of those things where it's just going to sneak up on you and it's going to be like a straw that broke the camel's back. And then that combined with all the other toxins you're getting and, diet and exercise, all that stuff plays into it. So if I can eliminate one little thing that can give me an edge, I'm going to do that. So healthy coffee for me is that one thing because we test for 450 plus toxins, including mold, heavy metals, glyphosate, all that stuff.
ester generators. I know with the atrazine. I don't know what they spray on coffee. I mean, I'm sure they use pesticides in some places, right, to spray the bean.
Oh yeah, yeah. If it's organic, yeah, it's definitely getting sprayed. And
So then you got
well,
atrazine, maybe like that's one of the
yeah,
biggest culprits
yeah,
of
for sure.
testosterone decreases in men and breast cancer in women. Is
Yeah,
and the regulation of estrogen as it pertains to whatever gender you are.
I mean it's some crazy stuff, and even like if it's certified organic, there's still some allowable pesticides there, which is another reason why we test over top of it. Because I want to make sure that I'm getting the absolute cleanest form in my body because I'm drinking it so much, right?
Where do you source as we get Katie, you got the song?
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Oh, she's listening right now to see if it's good. It could be inappropriate. Yeah. Oh, all right. Pick whatever you like. Last time Dr. Livingston picked that song about Kush. Right? Remember?
It's good. Yeah.
Kush, Dr. Dre, Akon. That was good. That you can't get more. Well, you could get a lot more inappropriate than that. I
Yeah.
think. Um, where was I gonna go with this? The atrazine. Chris, I've completely forgot, man. Katie's picking a song. It's
Does
distracting.
you need to help you out?
She's got one.
Okay, there you go. You were saved by the bell.
What was your
Ah,
What was your comment though? You were saying something?
I have no comment.
Oh, no comment. Okay.
I was laughing at Kush.
All right. What? No, I'm gonna play it like live, and we're all gonna review.
It's called Riptide.
Huh?
Riptide.
Riptide?
Riptide by
Vance
ah,
Joy?
by who?
Riptide Vance Joy?
Yes.
Yeah, Vance Joy. It's a great song.
Well, me and Chris never heard it. So oh, Chris, Katie said there's no way we haven't heard this before.
No way, huh? There's
It's
no way.
pretty-
Trust me.
I would be shocked if you guys haven't heard this one.
Oh.
But I say there is.
My music is not that refined like it's mainly rap. Okay. Here we go. Can you guys see?
I'd actually like to see this guy in concert. I like singer-songwriters like this.
Oh, this a guy? Okay.
I've never heard it. It's 10 years old too.
Ellie, that video requires dissection though. Like deep.
Yeah, there's a deeper meaning there for sure.
Yeah, there's a deeper meaning. I mean, Katie was right on the lyrics, but the video was done with a purpose.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's pretty insane. Like the tarot cards too. I knew it was gonna go there with the Queen of Spades. I knew, because why would you put that card there? That's the Empress. The Queen of Spades is the High Empress.
Okay. I know nothing about any of that. It's fascinating. I'm like, oh.
That's a whole nother podcast, man. I'm ready to like interview some experts on that. Chris is gonna be like mind blown, Chris, when you get into tarot.
Well, I've experienced tarot cards. I was drunk in New Orleans and somebody read me for $10.
Yeah, but that's not sacred magic. That's like the one you do for yourself. There's a difference. The tarot are handed down. It's Hermeticism. If you follow that back up to Gnosticism, it's divine inspiration. It actually parallels the Bible, and you can actually make arguments about. There's a lot going into that, way beyond coffee, guys. Another podcast.
My mind is blown. That's fascinating.
I'm a guest now for that because Chris needs to be schooled on this stuff. But Dr.
Cool.
Livingston, what do you guys think of this song?
I've always loved that song. I like Vance Joy a lot. Like I've listened to quite a few of his songs. He's got a lot of great songs.
And Chris?
Yeah, it was all right.
All right, that's your reaction.
Yeah, it was all right.
All right, I guess man, a few words there. You might need coffee before you watch.
Next time, definitely. But his voice sounds very familiar, so I'm sure I'd never heard that song, but I think I've heard other songs by him.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of other songs that you know. Like if you just go to Spotify and type in his name, and you start playing his songs, you'll be like, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, Dr. Livingston, thank you so much for coming on. Look, we got the link underneath. Lifeboost coffee. Like when your coffee that you drink was designed by a PhD scientist, you're drinking a good one. At least one. It could be bad if they have malicious intents, but Dr. Livingston, clearly from what I know about him, that's not the case. Like he's just trying to make something that he enjoys, and now he wants to share it with the world. So thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Maybe by part 3, Chris will finally have taken a sip.
Baby steps. He'll get there.
That's right.
Confident.
Promise you.
All right, I'll hold you to that.
All right. Like, subscribe, comment, share, guys. Bye-bye.